This week on ANN, the Adventist Church in North America calls for support of the Asian American community.
Local Adventist leaders in the U.S. state of Colorado offer prayer after a deadly shooting in a Boulder grocery store.
And disastrous flooding impacts schools in Australia.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the leadership of the North American Division, or NAD, is condemning recent acts of violence and hate against the Asian American community.
NAD's statement comes after a 21-year-old white male shot and killed 8 people in Atlanta, located in the U.S. state of Georgia. 6 of the 8 killed were women of Asian descent.
A statement has been released by the NAD president, secretary, and treasurer calling for members to unite in support of their Asian brothers and sisters as they face uncalled for animosity.
The statement says, as leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America, we denounce the recent acts of violence and hatred against our brothers and sisters in the Asian American community. God calls us to love all his children, no matter our differences. Our diversity makes us stronger as a people, and the variety of cultures making up our territory are a direct reflection of his creative power. We need to celebrate our differences and embrace the uniqueness of each and every person.
The statement continues, we call on all our members to stand up and support the Asian American communities where they live. Be vocal in your appreciation of our Asian brothers and sisters in their time of need. Create a safe space for them by listening to their experiences and showing Christ-like compassion.
NAD President G. Alexander Bryant served as a student volunteer in Japan, describing his year there as an incredible opportunity to learn to appreciate the richness of the Japanese culture and people.
Bryant also shared, as Seventh-day Adventists, we represent almost every people group in the world. Our diversity empowers us to strongly speak in support of all communities. Jesus encourages us with these words, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another.
The NAD officer's statement also want the Asian American community to know we stand with them and beside them during this season where they are being unfairly targeted.
For more information, visit nadadventist.org.
The Rocky Mountain Conference is mourning with the community of Boulder, located in the U.S. state of Colorado, after a senseless act of violence claimed the lives of 10 individuals, including a law enforcement officer. The Rocky Mountain Conference put out a statement saying, we mourn for the families whose mother, father, partner, grandparent, or child had their life snuffed out due to evil that played out in what is supposed to be a safe public space, a grocery store. We mourn for the workers who will ever be traumatized by what they witnessed. Finally, we mourn for the shooter's family as their lives have been changed by the devilish act of one individual. Responding to the tragic events of Monday, March 22nd, senior pastor of the Boulder Adventist Church, Jeff Peterson, addressed the faith community of Boulder by email saying, our hearts and prayers go out, first for the families that tonight are bereaved, next for our law enforcement community that has lost one of its own, and also for all of our friends and neighbors who have been shaken by this tragic event. The Boulder Church is responding by providing support with members available to listen to and pray with those in need. Adventist Community Services is mobilizing and awaiting instructions from the state of Colorado on what assistance they can provide the community. Ed Barnett, president of the Adventist Church in the Rocky Mountain region, said, we have had too many of such tragedies in our communities. Will this ever end? We long for the day when violence will cease to exist and when there will be no more tears, pain, and death. Patterson prayed, Lord, there is sickness in this world, and this time it has struck in our town. Grant us strength in this difficult hour. Amen.
Extreme rainfall across Australia's Greater Sydney Conference and North New South Wales Conference over March 20 and 21 has caused massive flooding in the region. Adventist schools and churches, as well as many homes in the area, have been forced to evacuate. The Macleay River and Hastings River on New South Wales mid-north coast overflowed, forcing hundreds of schools to close, including Kempsey Adventist School, or KAS, and Manning Adventist Bush School. According to North New South Wales Conference President Adrian Rathel, KAS has been closed since Thursday last week. The school will remain closed, with no staff or students able to access the premises due to floodwater blocking the site from both directions. Port Macquarie Adventist School is operating on skeleton staff, with many staff and students trapped at home due to flooding. The school hasn't had to close yet. Most schools hope to reopen on March 24. Road closures have also affected church members from accessing necessities, and several homes have been inundated. Raymond Terrace Church was sandbagged yesterday in anticipation of flooding, and that situation is being monitored. To help the relief effort, members of Port Macquarie Adventist Church are collecting donations of non-perishable food items, pillows, blankets, and other necessities for those evacuated or otherwise affected. They are also encouraging people to pray and to reach out if they need accommodations. The North New South Wales Conference is working to provide immediate cash grants to church members who have been affected. NNSW has also partnered with the Australian Union Conference, who will match emergency funds dollar for dollar. In Greater Sydney, the Hawkesbury River in Sydney's west has flooded Penrith, Windsor, Richmond, and surrounding suburbs, and is threatening Pastor Lloyd Groleman's Aussie Pastor Studio. More than 3,000 people have been evacuated, and there are fears that up to 54,000 more could be affected. ADRA is also providing assistance to non-church members across New South Wales. To support their emergency flood response, you can visit and donate via their website at adra.org.au.
New adult literacy classes run by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Papua New Guinea are changing the lives of adults and young people ages 14 to 45 who missed out on formal education during their childhood. A collaboration between the Women's Ministries, Education, and ADRA departments of the New Britain, New Ireland mission, the program hosts a holistic curriculum that addresses not only literacy, but also numeracy and life skills. 17 students graduated from the program in November last year, each receiving a certificate. In order to graduate, students must complete certain requirements in various areas of learning. During life skill classes, students learn tailoring, knitting, and sewing with specific outcomes required, including learning the difference between butterfly sleeves and open full sleeves. To learn mathematical concepts, students cut watermelon into different types of fractions and counted coconuts. Although rudimentary, these skills are crucial for these zero learners, meaning those who dropped out of primary school in grade 4 or lower, who missed out on such skills required to bridge the gap from informal to formal education. In addition, literacy skills were primarily taught through Bible reading, both in Tokpisin and English. A highlight of last year's cohort was the baptism of Georgina Taralima, the daughter of one of the students. 2 families of students also made a stand for Jesus.
Seventh-day Adventist schools in Panama stand to benefit from a recent government resolve that will provide financial assistance to hundreds of parents of students with outstanding accounts affected by the escalating economic crisis brought on by the pandemic.
Resolve number 4074, voted on November 30, 2020, stated that $2 million will go toward assistance to parents who have been unable to pay for their children's schooling since the school year ended in December, according to Panama's Minister of Education, Virgilio Sosa.
Abel Cubilla, Education Director for the Adventist Church in Panama, says, "We are thankful that all 36 Adventist schools were considered for this economic aid. Many parents have been struggling to make ends meet and have not been able to continue providing an Adventist education for their children."
The amounts will vary from school to school depending on the needs assessed in each, but parents will see the assistance reflected in their accounts soon.
Of the 740 private schools across Panama, only 268 met the requirements and documentation required by the Ministry of Education to receive the benefit. Schools had to be recognized by the Ministry of Education in specific aspects, show evidence of the accounts to be assisted, and clear accounting measures with Social Security payments of teachers, among others.
According to government statistics, during 2020, dozens of private schools were in jeopardy of closing their doors amid the struggling economic situation. So far, Adventist schools will continue their virtual learning platform this year.
The Seventh-day Adventist educational system in Panama has 382 school administrators and faculty overseeing 5,300 students.
Coming up, Heroes 2 was released this week, and we have all the information about how you can play and where you can download.
We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, VL. How are you? Are you okay? Dear VL, I can't even remember how long we've been staying at home now because of this virus. For now, it's just nice to hear your voice and see your face. Nothing beats playing outside in the dirt, though. Which reminds me, are your hands clean? Yes! Mommy and Daddy says not a lot of kids get COVID-19, but it's always nice to be extra safe. We should wash our hands before picking our nose. Washing our hands protects us, but it also keeps us from spreading the virus in case we touch something dirty. Let's always be clean and safe, okay? Love, Joey.
Why is there evil in the world? Are Christians hypocrites? Is the Bible a fairy tale? Does Jesus love everyone? Church doesn't feel relevant to my life. Is God even real? You have questions? Let's talk about it. I Believe Bible.
Welcome back.
We are so excited to announce that Heroes 2 was released this week.
That's right. You can download Heroes 2 right now for your Apple or Android device.
What is Heroes 2? Heroes 2 is a Bible trivia game that actually teaches the player about the Bible. Associate Director of Communication for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Sam Neves, has more.
Back in 2013, Heroes the Game became the absolute best Bible trivia game out there. It generated more than 10 million minutes of interaction with the biblical narrative. Well, 7 years later, here's the good news. Hope Channel is about to release Heroes 2. What imagery comes to your mind when you hear the word hero? Probably Superman or Spider-Man, right? Because of pop culture, we have linked the word hero to someone who can yield special powers. Here's what the dictionary says, however. Hero. A person who is admired for their courage, outstanding achievement, or noble qualities. Did you catch that? I'll read that again. Hero. A person who is admired for their courage, outstanding achievement, or noble qualities. It doesn't say anything about superpowers. We have seen so many movies about heroes. The world is clearly interested in this theme and artistic style. We all know how large the movie industry is and what influence it commands on the world. But what if I were to tell you there is an entertainment industry larger than the movies and music industries combined? Is there such a thing? There is. It's called the games industry. What? A recent report has revealed that over 3 billion people play video games. You have no idea what 3 billion people looks like, do you? Well, neither do I. Let's just say this: 4 in every 10 human beings play video games. Just for comparison, there are 2.3 billion Christians in the world. Yes, there are more gamers than people following Jesus in the world. Before ascending to heaven, Jesus gave us a mission. Go into all the world and preach the good news to everyone. I am sure that everyone also includes gamers. Here is how the Apostle Paul would put it. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. Think about what great opportunity we have to talk about the greatest hero of all time in the language that gamers would engage with and understand. Of course, we know that there are many Christians that like to play games too. That's how the first game was born, Heroes, the game, many years ago. Heroes was a great success. It had more than 10 million minutes played across the globe in 8 different languages. Heroes was a pioneer game that opened the doors to many other games. We are now more connected than ever. 3 years ago, many ministries commissioned a study on the most searched for terms on Google in relationship to the Bible. We realized that there are over 250,000 Google searches around the world for Bible trivia, Bible game, and Bible quiz every 30 days. That's right, 250,000 people around the world in English are searching for every 30 days for Bible game, Bible trivia, or Bible quiz. Of all the game genres, people are searching for Bible trivia more than any other. So the question came, what if we could take Heroes to the next level? What if we could publish the absolute best Bible trivia game ever? We would then be able to help every player to further understand the Bible, to find freedom, healing, and hope in Jesus. Let's do it, we said. Little did we know just how difficult this would be. For the last few years, we have been working with an international team to create Heroes 2, an entirely new Bible trivia game you are going to love. You start with Adam and Eve, the first heroes of the Bible. As they ask you questions about their life, you start accumulating experience points. We call it XP. The more XP you have, the more heroes are unlocked. Noah, Joseph, Moses, Jesus, Mary, and John are just some of the 12 heroes waiting to challenge you. You start with Genesis and you end up in Revelation. Each game consists of 12 questions and your score is how quickly you can answer them. That's it. Simple, right? Well, at first the questions are easy. For example, Eve could ask you, what was the name of the garden we lived in? Now, even you know the answer to that question, yeah? But then the questions get much harder. In fact, we labeled the last question as absolutely impossible questions. So let's see how you fare with those as well. But what if you cannot remember the stories? Well, that's when your satchel comes in. You know, a satchel, like a bag that you wear, satchel. Before starting a game, you can take up to 3 effects in your satchel. So as you go on your journey, you can take 3 effects. Now, effects are power-ups that help you on your journey. The Daniel effect, for example, reveals the Bible verse where the correct answer is found. The Joshua effect will freeze time for 5 seconds, just as the sun stopped for Joshua back in the Bible. The Jonah effect will skip the questions, just as Jonah skipped the mission. The Lazarus effect will give you a second chance. So when you choose the wrong question, ta-da, you're back. You get a second chance. Do you get it? It's like Lazarus. Yeah, you get it. But my favorite effect is the Jesus effect, because it takes away your wrongs and it shows you the way, pointing to the correct answer. Oh, and I almost forgot. To buy and upgrade your effects, you will need mana. Remember mana in the Bible? Well, how do you get mana? You collect it by knowing the Bible stories and answering the questions correctly. There is even a Friday effect that doubles how much mana you get per question. Isn't this great? I think it's great. Well, back in 2013, when we released Heroes for the first time, most teenagers were able to win when they played against their parents and even their pastors. Some children were even better than the team that wrote the questions. But that only happened on special events in local churches and maybe some camporees. With Heroes 2, you will be able to challenge someone through a simple email or even a WhatsApp message. This is a new multiplayer mode we have designed just for you. This link would challenge anyone else to play the same exact 12 questions you've just played. The link will be active for 24 hours, and there are no limits on how many people can accept your challenge. Heroes 2 will keep a ranking screen for your game so you can find out who is the best at answering Bible questions. Heroes 2 will be available at first in 4 languages, English, Portuguese, Spanish, and French. But we already have a team working on translating the game for another 6 languages, for a total of 10 languages very, very soon. The same messages, new technology.
For more information, visit heroesbibletrivia.org.
Coming up, Elizabeth Henry is here with This Week in Adventist History.
But up next, Adventist Mission shares how Zaoksky Christian School in Russia is ministering to its students.
Any idea what time it is?
We really, really need our sleep.
Are you from? No, we're not from the future, but we know you only pay attention to yourselves, so here we are.
But how? We have no time for that. We have less than 30 seconds.
Fact number 1. Adults need 7 hours of sound, restful sleep to keep their immune systems healthy and to fight viruses. And today, right now, is the single most important thing you can do to keep yourself healthy. What are you doing?
We're just Googling if spicy foods cause hallucinations.
Fact 2. Staring at your phone or your computer right before bed prevents sound sleep. And you'll be tired the next day. And nobody got time for that.
Can we just go to bed, please?
Welcome back.
Zaoksky Christian School has been operating in Russia since 1993, and many students have been blessed by Adventist education.
Through the school, many students have come to know Jesus as their personal Savior.
Adventist Mission has more.
Come with us to Russia and discover how an Adventist school is changing the lives of youth. Masha was discouraged, and the future seemed dreary. This broke her mom's heart, and she had an idea. She asked Masha if she'd like to attend Zaoksky Christian School, a Seventh-day Adventist day and boarding school. Masha wanted a new start with new people, so she said yes, but she was still lonely at her new school. She didn't know how to make friends. But then some of her classmates reached out to her, and one student told her how she could have a personal relationship with Jesus. Finding a quiet place, Masha poured out her heart to God. From that moment on, Masha's life hasn't been the same. She now has a savior and friend that she can trust. Zaoksky Christian School has been operating in Russia since 1993, and many students have been blessed by Adventist education.
There are many advantages. The food is good here. The second plus is that the teachers here are all happy. They treat their students well.
But most importantly, many students come to know Jesus as their Savior, just like Masha did.
I've worked in the elementary school with the preschoolers and see how the little children who haven't even heard about God come to us after hearing about Him and are very happy. Their eyes shine when they begin to believe that God helps them with all of their difficulties in everything that they do.
When the school began, there were only 4 teachers and a few students. The school used classrooms on the campus of Zaoksky Adventist University.
The number of students gradually grew, and today we have 200 students. In fact, we don't do any advertising at school or in the village. People talk about our school themselves. The school has a good reputation, good reviews from parents and children who graduated from our school.
Zaoksky Christian School's popularity has created a new challenge: space.
Since we can't accept more children, they can't receive a Christian education. Therefore, we need a new building for the elementary school.
A portion of this quarter's 13th Sabbath offering will help Zaoksky Christian School construct its own school building on the campus of the Adventist University. Currently, the school borrows classrooms from the university, and your offering will help the children meet in their own classrooms. Thank you for your generous support of Adventist education in Russia. It's changing the lives of children like Masha.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting adventistmission.org, then click on videos at the top.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Elizabeth Henry for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we hear about the life and ministry of Roy Edgar Hay.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. Pioneer missionary Roy Edgar Hay was born on July 24, 1887. In 1906, Hay enrolled at Union College, spending his summers colporteuring and supporting evangelistic efforts. In 1910, Hay married Edith Lillian Dransfield, and they had 4 children. In 1913, Ray and Edith answered a call to start the Adventist work in northern Luzon, Philippines, arriving in November of that year. For the next 2 years, the Hays trained and laid down the foundation for evangelism, learning the Ilocano dialect and by translating and printing tracts. Leveraging his experience as a colporteur, he implemented colporteur institutes, training students and sending them to the surrounding towns and provinces. From March to October of 1915, Hay ran his first open-air evangelistic meetings. The initial success of the work led to the organization of the Northern Luzon Mission in 1917. On March 23, 1921, the Hay family returned to the United States on furlough with the intention of going back to the Philippines. During this time, Hay shared slideshows and stories of the mission work. He was also elected to be the official delegate of the Philippines to the General Conference session of 1922. However, Edith was diagnosed with cervical cancer and the family remained in the United States. Following the diagnosis, Hay served in various capacities in a few conferences, including the Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, Oregon, and California conferences. At the same time, he started writing children's stories, which were published in church papers. Unexpectedly, Roy Hay died of a congestive heart failure a few weeks short of his 40th birthday in June 1935. Edith died in December 1982 at the age of 91. Hay is remembered for his pioneering work and is attributed with the start of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in northern Luzon. To find out more about the life of Roy Edgar Hay or the church's history in the Philippines, please visit the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online at encyclopedia.adventist.org. This has been a look at This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Did you know the Adventist Church has a YouTube channel where you can watch ANN Video, ANN In Depth, and plenty of other amazing videos on prophecy, health, and Bible study?
Just go to YouTube and search for the Adventist Church. Click the subscribe button to make sure you're caught up each week.
And remember, leave a comment or a prayer request. We have people who are praying for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 11.
The passage says, "In that day I will restore David's fallen shelter. I will repair its broken walls and restore its ruins, and will rebuild it as it used to be."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit adventist.news for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.